Today is November 22nd. I am late recording this. Usually I try to get around the 18th because that is the anniversary of me starting testosterone. December 18th will actually be 3 years. What? So next month will be kind of a big deal. But yeah, I was on the 18th in Canada. I'm meeting my best friend for the first time in person. We have been best friends since like 18 years old, but it's been online. We've never actually met because my best friend's from Singapore. And so this is our first time we were ever on the same side of the Pacific Ocean. And I went to Canada and we met in person. And I have probably never laughed that much in the course of 2 days in my life. It was very emotional. It was a very strong high. And afterwards, I kind of just shut down emotionally for 2 days because I don't always handle good things that well. I don't have enough experience with good things. And sometimes I don't know, I struggle. I had a very good time though. It was super fun, and they were fascinated by my beard. A lot of Asia facial hair is not really that big of a thing, and so they wanted to touch my beard, and they were amazed at how red my beard is, and they were just super excited. So uh that kind of curiosity is fine by me, and it was funny. It was more to do with being cultural than that I was born intersex. So it was kind of funny and fun to encounter all the cultural things that were different. Oh my gosh, they were like, the trees here look like trees. In Singapore, everything's so manicured that you like the trees are fake looking because they're too perfect. And they were just so happy to be here. Like, the biggest reason they were happy to be here is there's no same sex marriage in Singapore. And one of the first things they did after moving here was get married. And so 3 days before I met up with them, they had officially gotten married. And so that was also exciting. Like, that was really a big deal. I had a really super positive experience meeting my best friend. We weren't awkward or stuff. We got along like super well, and I knew we would. But it was good. It helped because some stuff has happened recently that's been not as easy. I'm still struggling to get my weight up. I ate a ton of food while I was there, and I still am a pound short. And it's like, I need my weight up so that I have everything go well with my surgery the way I need it to. And so that's been a frustration. And of course, once the surgery's done, then the weight won't want to come off. And then it'll be all frustrating again. It's like, it has to be hard to get the weight in the first place, and it has to be hard to lose the weight. And I know part of the difficulty is I'm a vegetarian, and I've been a vegetarian for a very long time. And the other part is I'm trying so hard to eat at least semi healthy, but I just can't. I basically have had to change my diet into being like I'm trying to get type 2 diabetes. Like, it's pretty much not a diet that is sustainable at all, but I am scared about my weight. And I'm going to have to keep being scared about my weight for quite a while. I don't expect to be done with electrolysis until like summer. And that's horrible to have to say. That feels bad, really bad. And yet it's the truth because it's just taking forever. It's just really taking forever. And the person who's training that I've been working with is thankfully getting better and is doing more at a time, but it's still so little. And so it's very hard to know that it's still going to be so long, like just ridiculously long. that really, really sucks. On top of that, I started a club at college, and when I did, there was some interest in it, initial interest by several students. And one of them, once they realized that I was actually leading the club and not just a club member, decided that they weren't as interested after all because it's me. And I've been encountering this going in public more and being out and about more means there's these opportunities for people to see potential in me or for me to grow as a person, but there's also opportunities for people to be able to somehow read the invisible sign on my head that says other. And when they see that invisible sign on my forehead and they see, that I'm different, there's some people who pity that or, maybe feel sorry for me, but there's people who even like their body language, they take a step back. Some of them literally quite actually take a step back and make it very apparent that the most that we will ever be is an acquaintanceship at best. That in reality, they don't really want something to do with me, and that's difficult. And I don't think that they could articulate why, for the most part, but they can sense that there's something off about me, that I shouldn't exist. I got a job being a tutor for the school, and when I did so, I had to at one point go to HR and turn in paperwork. And they want to run a background check. That's pretty normal for most jobs you get. But part of the background check means, hey, are there any other names that you have used in the past? And then, oh, there are. Okay, well, why? They want to know about it, at least a little bit. And so then I say, I was born intersex. And then they react by, oh. They make this expression of initial disgust. And then they don't really know what to do. They're awkward. And so then we awkwardly start talking about it because they're trying to get more adjusted to the concept. And I get to the point where I'm saying, yeah, I have hormone issues because when you're a baby, if you have a hormone producing body part removed, then you have hormone issues for the rest of your life. And this woman who not only works in HR should know better, should know more appropriate ways to speak, to inquire, because you're literally from HR, but also is obviously a very left-leaning person. This woman had a Star Wars t-shirt on and pink streaks in her hair and like 4 different black types of goth earrings coming down her ear, tattoos, and still she's just like, oh, well, I'm educated on that, so I know all about it. And even though she obviously did not know all about it, even though she's definitely not educated on it, because she just wants the subject to be done with. And it's dismissive, and it's not just religious people who do it. There's this idea that on the West Coast that you're going to be accepted when you're different. And to a certain degree, it's so much better than it was when I lived in, for instance, Tennessee. Like, it's like night and day in comparison. But it's not like it's always every single person is going to be nice to you. In fact, it's not even like half. It's like half the time people are somewhat accommodating or accepting, at least tolerant, but it's not. Like it's just I think it's easier for them when someone's gay. Intersex people are less than 2% of the human population. Like, we're really rare. And there's just this automatic taboo about talking about anything to do with genitalia that permeates society in general, whether you are liberal or not. And if a baby is born with abnormal genitalia, then there's like this inference of sexual deviance, of sin, whether it's calling sin, even if they don't call it that, even if they call it something else, or even if they can't even articulate what they would call it, there's this ew sense, this, oh, well, that's not really something I wanted to happen. But if it didn't happen, it would mean I didn't exist. There's this suggestion that things would be less uncomfortable if I didn't exist. Even with nice people, even with liberal or left leaning people. And that's very difficult. I have a natural tendency to try to make it up to everyone around me that I exist, because I know I am annoying. And so I always am being polite and trying to do nice things for people. And I have made a habit of holding the door open for my classmates every single class. And when I do that, there's this one guy who just refuses to go through the doorway. And he always has just not been up for it. He will not let me hold the door for him. And I thought maybe it's some sort of patriarchy thing. Maybe it's some sort of, he can sense there's something off about me and he just doesn't want to engage. But the longer it's gone on, the more I've gotten a sense that it was religious. And I thought, well, maybe he's like really strict religious or something. And he can tell there's something off about me and he like can't engage because of that. And I went to class this week and he basically waited until it was only me and the professor there, and then he went to the professor and explained why he would not be coming back to class while looking me dead in the eye. And that he was ahead on his schoolwork. He only had 3 assignments left and he was just going to do them and not come back in person, because he did not, necessarily want to be around all the other students. And that he was very religious, that he believed in Christmas and stuff, and he had the tree up literally half the year, and so on, so on, so on. And again, he wasn't really looking at the professor, he was looking at me. He was making it very clear to me that it was me that was the problem. And he wanted me to know. And my professor was very uncomfortable, but just sort of kept nodding and saying, okay, that's fine. And when he went to leave, he basically said, have a good life, man. And he said it in such a way as to emphasize that he was being sarcastic about the man. My professor and I just sort of stood there quiet and awkward for a second, and then we changed the subject, both of us, mutually. We did not talk about it. It's really hard to know that just by being alive that I am a problem for people. And the thing is he's making assumptions. I've had enough surgeries at this point that all of the, defective female parts have been removed and I only have defective male parts left. I'm underdeveloped in both directions, but I only have male left. I am by sex and by gender male at this point. I don't have a penis, but I am working toward the surgery to rectify that as well. And at that point, I will be whole for the first time in my life. But I don't think it's going to matter for some people. It doesn't matter to them, and they don't even know that it's not like I said, "Hey dude, I was born intersex. I have, every right to exist as a guy because my guy parts were just as real." Like I can't say that to him because it first of all doesn't even occur to me to say that to him when I'm feeling that uncomfortable, but also like it wouldn't matter. It would not change his mind. It would not affect his belief. At first, going to college was like really exciting because I want to do good things in the world. But the more I interact with people, yes, there's this resource of other human beings and this inspiration that can come from that and growth, personal growth and stuff. And that's all good. But there's also just such a bombardment of rejection and intolerance and a sense that I should never have been born. It's really difficult to want to go and embrace my potential and pursue a degree and get to doing the things that I actually want to do and that I never thought would ever be possible. And there's just this never ending hurdle of I don't fit. I don't fit in. And it is more pronounced with some people than with others. It's not like everybody who found out about the club left when they found out I was leading it. It was just one person. All the other club members who were interested in the club stayed. They don't mind so much that I'm leading it. It's not like every student is that way. It was just him who wouldn't go through the doorway. Every other student goes through the doorway. But man, the people who go through the doorway, even the majority of them act like I don't exist. And maybe that's not as exaggerated as this guy, but it's still there and it's still frustrating. And I don't know how to overcome it. I don't know if it's a possible thing to overcome because you can't control other people, you can't control how they feel. And it's like a societal suggestion that anything to do with genitalia involves sexual deviance. I get excited and then I feel stupid for being excited about projects that I'm working on or things that I'm doing. And I keep trying to push myself to overcome that feeling of, yeah, but it's me. I was recently telling someone about something I was excited about, and they just kept being like, "Why are you doing this?" But what? What? But it's you. It was like a suggestion of why are you setting yourself up for disappointment? Why are you trying so hard when it's not going to work out anyway? Because it's you. And I know part of it is that I grew up feeling like I wasn't allowed to exist before I ever even, knew anything about what was going on with me physically, before the word intersex was ever invented. You know, it's always been there, the sense that I am just not part of other people. And then, childhood trauma and abuse and blah, blah, blah. I have GHIA, and one of the very noticeable symptoms is accommodating people around me and like freaking. I I know I have PTSD and blah blah blah. I know there's reasons. I understand the reasons. It doesn't make it less frustrating. It doesn't make it less hard.